Imagine unearthing 44 children's bodies under a house. That was the horrifying reality in the case of Olga Briskorn, Russia's first recorded murderer. It was a gruesome discovery that sent shockwaves through the community. As each lifeless form was unearthed, it marked the beginning of a chilling investigation. The victims, all innocent and young, were found beneath the very floors of a house that should have been a place of safety. Instead, it was a tomb, a place where childhoods were abruptly ended. The chilling connection between all these unfortunate souls? Olga Briskorn, a woman who, on the surface, appeared no different from any other, yet behind her unassuming facade, she harbored a dark and insidious secret. Briskorn was not just a murderer, she was a serial killer, a predator who took pleasure in preying on the most vulnerable. Her victims, all connected to her in some way, were people she knew, people who trusted her. It was this trust that she exploited, using it to lure her victims into a deadly trap. As the count of the bodies continued, the scale of her crimes became horrifyingly clear. 128 lives snuffed out, their hopes and dreams buried along with them. And the most chilling part? 44 of these were children. Children who were not yet 15. Children who should have been playing in the sunshine, not lying in a cold, dark grave. These were not just numbers. They were lives. Lives that were brutally cut short by a woman who showed no remorse, no empathy. And as the investigators dug deeper into her life, they would uncover a tale of manipulation, deceit, and cold-blooded murder. Olga Briskorn, the Kursk Saltychika, a woman whose atrocities would mark the beginning of a chilling chronicle of murder in Russia. A name that would become a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the most ordinary of surfaces. From the shadows of Kursk, we move to the dimly lit streets of St. Petersburg, where the specter of Nikolai Radkovich, the first serial maniac of the city, lurked. Nikolai Radkovich, deemed the Peter Jack the Ripper, cast a sinister shadow over the city in the year 1909. A man of mystery, he was as elusive as the moonlight on a foggy night, leaving behind only traces of his horrifying deeds. His victims were women, unsuspecting and vulnerable, their lives snuffed out in the cruelest of ways. Radkovich's modus operandi was chillingly methodical. He would stalk his prey under the cover of darkness, striking when they least expected, leaving a trail of fear that gripped the city. 3 murders were confirmed to be his handiwork, each one more grisly than the last. The possibility of more victims added to the growing dread, making every shadow seem threatening, every stranger a potential monster. The investigation into the murders was exhaustive, a race against time as the authorities grappled with the elusive phantom that was Radkovich. The city held its breath, waiting for the predator to be caught, for the nightmare to end. It was a game of cat and mouse, a game that Radkovich seemed to be winning until his capture. His arrest brought a collective sigh of relief to the city. The specter that had haunted their nights was finally behind bars, his reign of terror ended. But the scars he left behind were deep, the memories of his brutality etched into the heart of the city. Nikolai Radkovich, a name that will forever send a chill down the spine of St. Petersburg's inhabitants. His story serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human soul, a darkness that once unleashed can wreak unimaginable havoc. The tale of the Peter Jack the Ripper is one that continues to echo through the narrow alleys of St. Petersburg, a macabre legacy of a man who was once the city's darkest nightmare. The terror wasn't confined to St. Petersburg. Moscow, too, had its share of nightmares, courtesy of Vasily Komarov. As the first confirmed Soviet serial maniac, Komarov's reign of terror gripped the heart of Moscow from 1921 to 1923. Vasily Komarov, an unassuming man, led a life that belied the horrors he inflicted. His victims were primarily men, a departure from the typical victims of serial killers. But Komarov was far from typical. He was ruthless, methodical, and utterly devoid of remorse, traits that would soon earn him a place in the annals of criminal history. His method of killing was as chilling as it was calculated. He would lure his victims with the promise of work or a friendly drink, only to strike when they least expected it. His weapon of choice was a simple one, a hammer, and with it, he would bludgeon his victims to death, leaving behind a trail of devastation and fear. Komarov's reign of terror came to an end in 1923, but not before he had claimed the lives of at least 33 men. When captured, he confessed to these murders with a chilling calmness, showing neither remorse nor regret for his actions. However, despite his confession, he was only charged with 29 murders. The reason for this discrepancy remains a mystery even to this day. The trial of Vasily Komarov was a sensation, with people across Moscow and beyond following every twist and turn. It was a grim spectacle, one that highlighted the monstrous capacity for violence that lay within an ordinary man. Komarov's story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. It's a tale that continues to haunt the streets of Moscow, a city that has seen its fair share of horrors. But none quite like Vasily Komarov, the first Soviet serial maniac. A man whose deeds cast a dark shadow over the city, a shadow that lingers to this day. Vasily Komarov, a man whose name would become a synonym for terror in the heart of Moscow. From the gruesome discovery under Olga Briskorn's house to the sinister shadows of Nikolai Radkovich and Vasily Komarov, we've traveled a chilling path through Russia's history of murder. To recap, we began with the story of Olga Briskorn, the Kursk Saltychika, a woman of privilege who used her position to commit unthinkable crimes. Beneath her estate lay the bodies of 44 innocent children, evidence of a reign of terror that resulted in the demise of some 128 souls. Her name is forever etched in history, a symbol of the evil that can reside in the hearts of humans. Then we moved on to the streets of St. Petersburg, where in the early 20th century, fear walked hand in hand with the city's residents. Nikolai Radkovich, dubbed as Peter Jack the Ripper, preyed on women, ruthlessly extinguishing their lives. While only 3 murders could be proven, the specter of more victims looms large, a chilling reminder of the uncertainty and horror that gripped the city. Our journey concluded in Moscow with Vasily Komarov, the city's first known serial killer. Operating in the early 1920s, Komarov confessed to killing 33 men, although he was only charged for 29. His reign of terror marked a dark period in the city's history, a grim testament to the capacity for human cruelty. These stories had a profound impact on Russia, dramatically altering the country's perception of crime and the capacity for evil within its own citizens. The shockwaves from these crimes rippled through society, leading to changes in law enforcement and the legal system, and left a lasting impression on the national psyche. These stories serve as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within our societies, a darkness that we must always strive to keep at bay.